Hi there. Well, first of all, I'm just so disappointed that we're not with you in person. Our vision, our dream would have been that we could come out and spend time, have fellowship with you again as we have the last few years, and just enjoy worshipping God and hearing Him together. But we thought we'd give you this update just so that you know what God has been doing among us. And this is the second best, but this is what we can do right now. And hopefully, our prayer is that we would be able to see you again sometime in the not too distant future. When we were together last time, a lot of the parameter that we were sharing together and praying together over was this idea of the prevailing tide in many Christians round about here in Scotland just now of what we were calling practical atheism. And we were describing that as living and praying as if God doesn't hear or answer our prayers. And we were really together as a group, we were combating that in our worship and our prayer by praying in faith and by thanking God actively for what He was doing among us. And just as a reminder of what we had begun to see and what we have continued to see in the year since we were together, of God's provision. He's provided us new venues where the previous venues were just getting so overwhelmed by the number of young people coming in and hearing the gospel that we needed bigger venues, and He provided. And they are now bursting at the seams. He provided new volunteers to meet the needs of those young people, to mentor them, to share the gospel with them. He provided young people who were coming to us and saying, I just need to read the Bible for the first time. Other young people He provided who came to us and said, I just need to come to church for the first time. I've never been to church. Young people who were sharing their faith with their families, and their families were coming to church either for the first time or certainly for the first time in a generation. Parents coming back to church who hadn't been there since they were children, brought along by the young people in the family. Other young people who are bringing their friends, they're witnessing to them and they're bringing them along so that they can hear the gospel for the first time, and their friends are finding faith as well. And in the midst of that, I was sharing with you this crucial miracle of seeing for the first time a critical mass of people giving locally in faith, so that then I was coming to you for the first time and sharing, would you be the match funding for funding that has already been given in Scotland? And I was sharing that was a tide, a change, a mark of a miracle in the giving and the faith of the people round about us in Scotland. And so prophetically then from that, we were praying for campus ministry. We were praying prophetically that we would, for the first time in Scotland, we would see a college campus ministry begin, that we would see a local committee raised up that would resource that college campus ministry, that we would see local funders, local givers who would give in faith, believing that God would work through that campus ministry, and that God would provide a staff member to go out and share the gospel on campus, that we would see salvation on campus. And we acknowledged that each one of those things, for them to happen, they would be miracles. And as we prayed and as we claimed this prophetically, then you also gave prophetically. You gave $15,000 last year, which is a huge sacrificial gift, and we are so incredibly blessed that you would do that as the seed money for this new ministry, praying and prophetically that things were going to happen. So in the same spirit, we're going to thank God that yes, He has begun campus ministry. Yes, He has raised up a local committee to see those things happen and to resource them. He has raised up local donors who are giving at a matching level to what you gave last year, and He has provided us with a campus staff member in Chloe. And at the same time last year, as we were praying, God, raise up this campus staff worker, Chloe was also praying, God, show me where you're calling me to be. And it's so often how that happens, that God is working on both sides. We were unknown yet that Chloe was being called, and Chloe's ministry is marked by this strong prophetic call. And so in her testimony of year one, of this first 6 months really that you've been on the ground doing the ministry, that's what was sort of framing some of those questions. There's two questions I'd love her to share with the answers with, like, what has God been asking you to do as you've been going out regularly on campus, and who have you seen transformed by what you're doing? So over to you.
Thank you. Well, firstly, thank you for giving so that we can start up this ministry. And I hope that my answer to these questions is a blessing to you and encourages you. The first question, what did we feel God call us to do? I think as a team we felt God say to be consistent, so we've gone out every week on campus on the same day at the same time. We usually ask students a question, or we'll give them Bible verses, or we'll hand out hot chocolate or hot drinks. Whatever it is, it's always the same day, same time if we can. And we've really seen students engage with that and come back. So if we give them a Bible verse, they'll come back the next week for a new one, and they'll bring out their pocket like the one they received before. Or we'll see someone that has said, "Oh yeah, I've seen you guys around every week and just wanted to ask you this week what you're doing, why you're doing it." So I think consistency has been key, and it's something that I know Young Life is very it highlights a lot with relational ministry, being consistent and always showing up. And then the second thing, we really felt God say be good listeners, because often with street evangelism, it's very common for someone to be on the street with a microphone sharing their faith, or you hand someone a card that says, "This is what we believe and this is why we think you should believe it too." So I think for us, we wanted to ask students a question about faith and actually listen to their answers, and then to ask them follow-up questions based on their answers, and just listen to what they have to say instead of just sharing what we think they should believe. And often you'll find that they will ask you, "Why are you doing this?" or "What do you believe?" or they'll ask you the question that you've just asked them because they want to hear your opinion too. So we are able to share the gospel, but we want to listen to them first. And I guess whenever you read the Bible, you see that Jesus always asks more questions than he answers, so we're also trying to practice that. And then the second question was, how have we seen someone transformed? Well, we've met a lot of different students. Edinburgh has a lot of international students, so we've met some people that have had no faith background at all, haven't grown up Christian, don't really know anything about Jesus. We asked one question at Christmas time 2 years ago that was, do you know the good news story? And do you know kind of like the nativity story? And there were some students that didn't even know what the nativity was. They didn't know the birth of Jesus or anything. So there's a big range of people. Have met a lot of atheists, a lot of agnostics, met a lot of Muslim students as well. But one person that we really saw transformed was a girl from China. So she grew up not knowing anything about church. None of her family were Christian, none of her friends, no one she knew was a Christian, and she'd only heard of church in terms of underground churches. So we met her on campus, she gave us her number, we went for coffee, and then that night we had a pub quiz. So we invited her to the pub quiz. She said yes, she came along, she met some girls from church, and they invited her to church on Sunday, and she came. And then we started an Alpha course, which is like an 11-week course talking about the basics, fundamentals of Christianity. So she came along to that, and she went from knowing absolutely nothing about Jesus to learning so much. And now that we finished, she's asked if she can join a Bible study, or just something to help her learn more and to practice what she has learned. And she still would not call herself a Christian, but she's gone from really not knowing who Jesus was at all to learning so much about his character, and to meeting so many people who love him and are engaging with faith in their daily lives. So that was quite amazing to see that. And there's another boy who came to Alpha that we met on campus, and he came to one of our events, which was a music gig, and he went home and said he prayed for the first time and felt God speak to him for the first time, which was also amazing. So we're just trying to find creative ways to share the gospel, whether it's through music or through hospitality, or through courses that have been established like Alpha. So we really appreciate your prayers and also your giving. So thank you so much.
Yes. So I hope you're hearing that your prophetic prayers are preparing a harvest here in Edinburgh alongside us. And I hope that you're hearing that we are miraculously seeing God's victory over, alongside a lot of our church partner volunteers and people who are supporting us, over this practical atheism that has just stopped people believing that the gospel can change lives. And your giving has been matched in year one by local giving, and that local giving has been promised for year two again. Again, a miracle where local people are stepping up and believing in faith to fund this as well. So what we would ask is, do you feel prophetically called again to give at that same level, that $15,000 between you all, that has miraculously led to so much in year one, and that we're praying will lead to year two. And we're also praying that next time that we meet, we're doing that in 3D. We're actually with you and worshipping God together in person in Virginia Beach. Bless you. We're so grateful for you.
Thank you.